This is important. It says borrowers can then take out an over-collateralized loan against their deposited assets, unlocking liquidity without being forced to sell their holdings. I have literally been called crazy by other XRP community members for trying to get them to wake up and see that we are entering into an era where we do not have to sell our XRP. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. This is going to be part 2 of the previous video breakdown, where we are briefly going over an introduction into the DeFi primitives that are being introduced to us as XRP holders that is going to unlock another level of utility that has been dormant for years. So in this portion of today's video breakdown, we're going to be diving into Strobe Finance and what it is that they're bringing to the table for XRP holders and how it is poised to revolutionize what is possible for us that has not been available in previous years. This again will be one of those longer video breakdowns, but if you're serious about being a long-term market participant and taking full advantage of this ongoing wealth transformation, that it will be time well spent listening to what it is that not only some panel discussionists have to say on stage, but sitting with me as I thoroughly read through these documents via some DeFi primitives that are being introduced in the near term for us as XRP holders to both retail and institutional investors. So if you are watching this video breakdown and you did not watch part 1, make sure that you guys go back and watch yesterday's video breakdown on the YouTube platform. If you're new here, again, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform. We do appreciate the love and the support. We have been screaming XRP yield is becoming available to us for the past year now, and now we're finally seeing this stuff materialize in real time. Before we dive into the documents on Strobe Finance today via a Medium report where it goes into detail talking about what Strobe Finance is going to offer to the everyday average retail investor and institutions that hold XRP, I want you guys to listen to these gentlemen on stage. This is a gentleman from a large organization that offers Bitcoin yield opportunities. And so they're specifically talking about Bitcoin liquid staking and yield generation. But again, let's replace the terminology Bitcoin for just digital assets as a whole, understanding that DeFi primitives and DeFi capabilities for these underlying digital assets unlocks a whole new level playing field and access to utility that we have never seen the likes of on certain specific digital assets like Dogecoin, Bitcoin, XRP, blockchains that did not have native smart contract capabilities. So with that being said, take a second and listen. This is about a 2-minute long video clip, and this is going to set the tone for today's video breakdown as we get into the Strobe Finance documentation. And for the record, as always, showing you guys updated information. This is only from about a month ago, and it only has 161 views, which just goes to prove my point that hardly anybody in this crypto ecosystem is paying attention to this valuable information.
Robust on-chain mechanisms for this. Ideally, that replaces those things, right?
I mean, I've to be fair, I've never heard this criticism before. I deal a lot with, Bitcoin laser maxis. I used to be one of the people that get uninvited from conferences like a few years back because we were doing bridges. Now everybody, wants BitVM. I think like people who, say, oh, liquid staking is bad for Bitcoin. I think it's a narrative thing, or it's maybe just, trying to go for attention of people. Because it makes absolutely no sense. Like that statement by itself, like, oh, liquid staking is bad for Bitcoin, that you don't have any ground to stand on, right? I mean, Bitcoin is being used by anyone however they want to use it. That's the whole premise. Now, if I want to use my Bitcoin on a centralized exchange, I can do that. I can pick my risk profile, I can put it on Binance, OKX, and that's great. But if I want to use it in DeFi, like many people do, and we have proof of this, there's a lot of Bitcoin already in DeFi. Yes, it's still centrally wrapped, but still, it's more transparent than centralized exchanges. Yes, the wrapping is centralized, but then everything else afterwards is decentralized. And liquid staking just gives you another tool and actually makes Bitcoin much more powerful. And I would argue it's actually very good for Bitcoin. Why? Well, because Bitcoin has always struggled with use cases, and we can say, well, Bitcoin is just there to be digital gold. But I'd argue that if 10 years from now, I have to go to my bank and ask, oh, could I please move my Bitcoin? Then it's not Bitcoin anymore. Then we failed. Like, you have to have a way to use Bitcoin and DeFi without asking for permission. And that's what we're doing here. That's why staking is being built. That's why BitVM is being built. That's why we're then tokenizing these things, liquid staking assets, to build DeFi around it. So No, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, and I'll go and fight everyone whoever claims that liquid staking or staking is bad for Bitcoin. Staking is the one thing in crypto that has PMF very clearly. It's easy. You have an asset, you like it, you want to have more of the asset. One click, stake. Why is that bad for Bitcoin? So I would argue that we already have these things in a centralized way with intransparent yields where people have lost money. Now there's an attempt, in a big ecosystem attempt, to make them more transparent and decentralized. So, if you're criticizing that, well, then you should be criticizing yields or any form of kind of, putting assets to work overall. And well, what are you doing in crypto?
So just briefly touching on that real fast, I just wanted you all to take into account what this gentleman said here, right? Anybody that is downgrading the ability to stake or liquid stake digital assets is just generating a narrative based off of an opinion that doesn't really have any ground. And so when you're in this space, in this crypto space, you're going to be on Twitter, you're going to be on YouTube with a bunch of people that have no credentials, that have a bunch of opinions. I suggest personally that you block out that noise and you really focus on what the institutions are doing, because the institutions have been telling you all straight to your face that they are for a fact interested in participating in not only being a liquidity provider, but yield generation, lending, borrowing, looping strategies in the DeFi ecosystem. And it's all been for the first time ever, pretty much over the last recent, let's just say, year. Institutions are finally coming out and being open about how they're participating in the DeFi ecosystem with these digital assets.
So we're very big believers in liquidity pools. We believe that liquidity pools are going to be a standard part of the future ecosystem. We're very interested in lending protocols.
And so again, people have these outdated perspectives, mindsets, and opinions because they're failing to move with the changing tides and upgrade their education, which is exactly why we created the Wealth 28 Club, made it an affordable price for everyday average individuals, for you guys to go out there and have a freaking storehouse of wealth of information to learn about this space, to educate yourselves about DeFi, and to know how to get your digital assets working for you. So that way, when you're comfortable, when maybe the regulatory environment is clear and it fits your risk parameter, you can go out and you can deploy successfully, securely, and with confidence. So again, if you're interested in learning how to generate yield with your digital assets and you have no idea on where to start, head over to CYPRXtrading.com, tap in with our community for just 1 month. If you don't like it, you can always cancel your subscription, but further your education. I cannot stress enough. Let's listen to one more video clip as we progress throughout this video breakdown. Listen to what this gentleman here has to say.
Touched on a lot of great stuff. So just another point is that I think it just enhances the use case of Bitcoin, because if you think of institutions or folks holding Bitcoin in custody, it's actually a negative carry asset. It costs you money to hold Bitcoin, and no one wants to sell Bitcoin. So if you can add some sort of native yield that's sustainable through block rewards such as Core or Babylon or these unique hash time lock staking mechanisms, it's real yield, not some sketchy centralized lending market thing. That's a great way to get some yield, and it changes the economics of everything. Whether you're a TradFi institution that's offering structured products based on these yields to investors, or on-chain money markets, it just changes absolutely the economics of everything. So I think it actually enhances Bitcoin, and you're going to see folks wanting to hold the LST. So if you're a market maker, if you're an insto, if you're a retail user, you're just going to want to hold the LST. You're going to want to use that as your collateral asset, as it's accruing yield, and you're going to want to borrow stables against that, because it just makes economic sense, and it just enhances the asset that much more.
So a couple things to briefly touch on before we go over into what Strobe Finance is unlocking for XRP holders. I know that he's talking about Bitcoin, but listen to what he's saying. He's talking about how no one's going to want to sell Bitcoin, how they're going to want to utilize the liquid stake token that they're given for going and lending out their Bitcoin in the DeFi ecosystem, and utilize their liquid stake token as collateral while maintaining their position in Bitcoin. Okay, so have that same perspective for what is coming to XRP, where people are going to be able to go out, they're going to lend their XRP, they're going to be able to borrow USDC against it, remain liquid, and go out and participate in crypto with the USDC position that they borrowed against their XRP with. Okay, I cannot stress enough that this is coming, and this is coming freaking fast. So just to show you guys here, this is a fundamental piece from OKX that was recently published June 12th, 2025. And it says XRP-Fi is revolutionizing XRP utility through decentralized finance. As you heard the gentleman say, talking about Bitcoin, these DeFi primitives enhance Bitcoin's use case. Well, it's the same thing with XRP, right? XRP and Ripple and their whole entire, like, let's just say approach over the past consecutive couple of years has been cross-border payments, remittances, right? Settlement. All of that is changing now with these DeFi primitives. We have to understand that this unlocks a whole brand new aspect of utility for XRP. So shout out to Strobe Finance for this one. It says here, Strobe Finance is a yield aggregation and liquidity layer protocol that will unlock foundational DeFi infrastructure on the XRP ledger. No more idle XRP. That is such a massive statement. So we're going to just thoroughly read through this article from Medium that was only posted 1 day ago. As of time of recording this video, it is June 19th. So this is all relatively fresh. This is not launched yet. It is coming, however. So be prepared, start to educate yourself, go through the mentorship program in the Wealth 28 Club, learn how to become a liquidity provider, learn how to lend, learn how to borrow. Maybe even if you want to take it a step further, tap into the Discord and join the Zoom calls that we host for DeFi with our mentors on both Wednesdays and Thursdays every single week, where we talk about these things in detail. We go over strategies, we go over our positions in the DeFi ecosystem to visually show our community members how we are all learning and engaging in this ecosystem right now in the moment on platforms like this. Especially when a platform like this launches, you do not want to be caught uneducated about it, right? So Strobe Finance is a yield aggregation and liquidity layer protocol that will unlock foundational DeFi infrastructure on the XRP ledger, achieving native XRP yield through money markets, vault strategies, and collateralized debt positions. No more idle XRP. Powered by a unique multi-chain design with XLR's bridge connecting the XRP ledger with the XRPL EVM sidechain, we will enable users to take advantage of DeFi smart contract functionality, all without leaving the XRP ledger. So here's how it works. In order to make this yield possible, we will be allowing users to deposit XRP amongst a select collection of assets, including USDC, USDT, and ETH. In return, those users will be able to earn interest for lending their assets in Strobe's money market. This is important. It says borrowers can then take out an over-collateralized loan against their deposited assets, unlocking liquidity without being forced to sell their holdings. I have literally been called crazy by other XRP community members for trying to get them to wake up and see that we are entering into an era where we do not have to sell our XRP. Imagine how hard you have worked to accumulate your XRP. You in the future go out and sell it for some high-end fiat price, right? Because you've been manipulated all these years to sell your XRP when it's $1,000, when in reality, if you want to buy a nice house, you want to buy a fancy car, you can use Strobe Finance, just as an example, not financial advice, to lend out your XRP. Let's say your house is $100,000. I don't know, just throwing a random number out there, right? You want to put $100,000 down on a house, okay? Well, instead of selling your XRP for fiat and getting out of your XRP position, you can just lend out your XRP, borrow against your XRP, use that money then to go and make a deposit down on the house, right? In the future. I'm just using that as an example, okay? Not financial advice, but that is the future that we're headed into. You do not have to sell out of your XRP positions. Borrowers pay a competitive interest rate, which is shared back to the lenders, creating a steady passive yield stream. Yield rates on Strobe vary based on market demand. Depositing highly utilized assets typically earns higher returns. Our non-custodial architecture ensures that users retain full control over their assets. That is great. All deposits and withdrawals occur seamlessly, leveraging XLR secure cross-chain messaging between the XRP ledger and EVM sidechain. Complexity is abstracted away, meaning users will interact with their XRPL wallet, and the rest is handled by our unique multi-chain design. Borrowing and liquidation, and it goes over that in detail. And as we continue down here, benefits of Strobe. I'm not going to, like I said, read some of the details. This is stuff that you guys can get into on your own time, or you can head over to the CYPRX Wealth 28 Club and you can learn about how we're doing this in extreme excessive detail by seeing step-by-step examples. Now it says here, having access to the spending power of your assets without being forced to sell them or reduce your positions. That is like word for word what we've been saying over the past couple of months, is a powerful tool for accessing capital on demand or leveraging your current position, earning yield while you still have access to capital for whatever you may need. To permissionlessly leverage and utilize idle assets is a cornerstone of creating an expansive and healthy DeFi ecosystem. The money market is just the first step in providing native yield and liquidity solutions to the XRP community. The Strobe Finance team has an extensive roadmap for expanding XRPL's TVL and DeFi evolution through vault strategies and collateralized debt utilization, ensuring no reason for assets to remain idle anymore. And that is the end of that article there. So as always, many blessings to you guys. This is just such great information to unpack, and something that I firmly believe every single holder in the XRP community should be paying attention to, but for some odd reason is not. Ask yourself why that is. Is it because this community has been flooded with bullish moonboy hopium and bullcrap of these individual influencers on the internet that have zero credentials, zero credibility in this space, and have probably never even made 7 figures in their lifetime, telling you guys that you're going to become rich when XRP hits some high-end price and trying to manipulate you guys to sell for fiat? That is, again, a mindset that needs to die out, and you need to replace it with a strategic mindset that is going to really allow you to survive long-term in this new digitally native ecosystem. As always, bringing you guys some of the realest information in the game. If this is your first time here on the CYPRX platform, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. These videos do take time to make, and it does help boost the algorithm. For some odd reason, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, YouTube has me shadow banned. Like YouTube and Twitter, they have completely diminished my algorithm. So it really does go a long way when you guys smash that thumbs up button, when you leave a positive comment down in the description down below, or a negative one if you guys have anything negative to say, is what it is. But I do ask that you guys engage with this video in some way, shape, or form, whether that's through sharing it, smashing that thumbs up button, or just subscribe to the platform. We do appreciate the love and the support. If you guys want to take your education a step further, you really want to get into this stuff in detail, you want to see visual perspectives, you want to see us connect the dexes, you want to see us go out and lend, go out and borrow, go out and be liquidity providers with our hard-earned digital assets, seeing all that stuff in detail so that way you don't have to go out and risk your crypto yourself, head over to CYPRXtrading.com, tap into the Wealth 28 Club. We'd love to have you on the team. As always, many blessings. Be cognizant out there. Please be aware. Continue to further your education, and I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.
And so I think it's only a matter of time until you can perform those other functions, lend, borrow, provide liquidity to facilitate trading, these types of things, which also enhance your returns.
Yeah.
Right. So by making it composable, now you can actually boost your return on top in a fundamental way.
Yeah.
And so I don't think, smart money is going to leave that on the table once they understand the mechanics.